And a very good morning to you, Keith Hayes, with Mirador Television. Just a reminder. Coming to you from the White Hart in Lewis, and a cold one again. Right now, it's 0 degrees, but it's going to be a degree warmer, if that is any help. It still means it is bloody cold out there. And when I was waiting for the bus this morning, did I feel it in my fingers and in my toes? It reminds me of Bill Nike in the start of Love Actually. I feel it in my fingers. I feel it in my toes. He sings it a hell of a lot better than I do. But anyway, welcome to another couple of hours or so of nonsense, information, a little bit of analysis, a little bit of comment, a little bit of roaring, a little bit of ranting, a little bit of raving. And it's all in the next couple of hours or so. And take a bit of it at a time, or all of it if you wish. I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but still, there we go. It's time to take a look at the papers, the front pages, and what it says is, and let's go to the Daily Mail first. Britain has turned a corner, so now cut taxes. What it says is that Bailey, the governor of the Bank of England, has said that inflation is on the run. We've got it beaten. That the figures showed that we are not in recession, that inflation is beginning to come down mildly, but nonetheless, it's beginning to ease a little. Will that mean anything in the supermarkets? Will it see anything in the energy bills? Probably not. These things always rush in, and nobody can or the establishment can't wait to add another 2% or 3% or whatever onto the cost of living. But when it turns the other way, they are very reluctant to bring it down. So don't get your hopes up yet. But what the Mail is referring to is Rishi Sunak has said he will not cut taxes. And this is causing another backbench rebellion. Oh, what do you expect from the Conservatives right now? And it's not just the Conservatives, it's the whole government. The whole government structure is wrong. But still, what he's saying is, look, to keep a cap on inflation, we've got to keep the price up. And so we're not going to start to give giveaways straight away. But the MPs are feeling very sensitive because it's less than a year now before they have to come back to us and say, hey, vote for me. I'm a jolly good chap. And a lot of them haven't covered themselves with glory a great deal. Not any glory at all. Now, my mouth is drying out because of my Parkinson's, so I have a little sip of coffee, with your permission, of course. And so once again, there is a fight amongst our leaders. Sunak and Hunt have proved that they're going to dig their heels in. Are they right? Are they right to not lower taxes? Are they right to say to some of the ministers, you can't have more money to spend? I don't know. They're harsh decisions because if inflation kicks in again, then we're all going to blame them, aren't they? I mean, I think they're on a no-win course. Is they're damned if they do, and they're damned if they don't. But nonetheless, at least we got a bit of action. Oh dear, it's early morning. It's not early morning at all, actually. It's 8:35 for those of you who wish to know. And it's also the 20th of January for those of you who wish to know. And for those of you who don't wish to know, it is 0 degrees outside, but it is going to climb to about 4 today. It's going to stay pretty nice, scattered cloud, not much of a breeze, and all in all, a not unpleasant day. Daily Express, it's official. We are winning the inflation battle. Wow! It is waving the flag. The Daily Telegraph, stop stalling a tanks deal, NATO allies told Germany. Well, that appears that Germany have agreed to provide some war materials to NATO, and the Germans haven't delivered. And so all those members of NATO that have delivered on their promises are saying, hey, cough up. You promised some tanks. Where are they? Of course, Germany has still a huge conscience about war, having triggered the Second World War. It triggered the First World War as well. But all in all, they do have a national conscience and prefer not to get involved in military things. But nonetheless, they're a member of NATO, so they have to live by the rules. The metro, level up and away. Level up and away, it says. And it's anger as Sunak uses a private jet for the short hop flights to the north, where he's banging the drum for his party. And there are seats there in the north that they must take if they want to form the next government. And I guess he, more than anybody, is he going to be added to the shortest prime ministers of all time? I mean, Liz Truss, I think, holds the record at the moment. But the Tory areas are allocated more cash from levelling up funds, says the Guardian. In other words, favouritism has been set in. An interesting story from around the world. I always think of New Zealand as where at Land's End, and the world, if it's level, you drop off. But the Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern, has unexpectedly resigned, and she says that she no longer has enough in the tank to lead the country. Now that is a bit of a shock. Lady prime ministers in the southern section of the earth are very popular, and I don't think there was any, apart from the usual criticism, there was anything around her to say that she should resign. However, going back to our own 60s and 70s, of course, there were all sorts of little things floating around Harold Wilson's administration, for instance, that we didn't know about until after he had gone. So whether there is something lurking there, I have no idea. But anyway, the New Zealand Prime Minister has unexpectedly handed in her warrant. I've had enough. Ta-da, bye. The EU wants Starmer to become British Prime Minister. Well, there's a surprise. I mean, the EU politicians, they actually think that it's a gravy train, and they don't want to miss out on any of the gravy that's coming turned up by the UK. And so if Keir Starmer is tending towards the EU, either a return or a modified deal with them, then I would be licking my lips and saying, yes, there's another gravy boat over there, pass it, please. Financial Times, central banks vow to stay the course on high rates until inflation is tamed. Right. Now, inflation is, although we talked a lot about it in this country, is not just, we aren't the only country suffering from inflation, is the most of the Western world and open market economies have. And all the central banks have raised their interest rates to try and cap it. Well, from today's news, it looks as if perhaps they've succeeded to a small extent, and now they say we're not going to let up. We're going to keep the rates up. So Rishi Sunak doesn't have all the options. He doesn't hold all the cards because I'm trying to think who it was, which prime minister. I think it was probably Tony Blair, who gave the Bank of England its freedom to act independently of government policy. So if the central bank says it's going to stay with high rates, it will. And our central bank is apparently going along with the other central banks in Europe and for that matter, the United States, and saying, no, we're not going to lower our interest rates just yet. No, thank you. We're going to wait until inflation is well and truly beaten. The Times. Hunt wants a 5p fuel duty cut. The 5p that was knocked off the duty on tax on fuel is due to expire, and Jeremy Hunt wants it to run a year longer to really see us out of the mire. The Mirror. 3 cops accused over child abuse images. This is getting worse and worse as far as the matter is concerned. But some of the policemen have had their computers looked at, and they've got child pornography on it. I mean, who do we trust in the police anymore? The Sun. Actor Alex Baldwin, very popular in movies, but no one is above the law, and apparently this was an accidental shooting, and he's sort of saying, "Well, hang on, I'm a cowboy." It's a fatal shooting on set. A lawyer for Ma Hutchins' family said her husband was comforted by the charges being laid against Alec Baldwin. Daily Star. Aha! We can bet on the Star for a different version. It's now or never. And there's a bus driver who does a impersonation of Elvis, and he's just cut his first record, and everybody's getting excited. Elvis is not dead. No, of course he's not. It's far from it. He's still strutting the stage. So let's take a look, if we can, at the local news, Sussex Live News. A popular swimming pool is forced to close for months due to a major technical fault. Now, where's that? Let's have a look. The King Alfred swimming pool in Hove has been forced to close for months due to a major technical fault. What's a major technical fault? Let's see. It's going to be closed until Easter, and explained to customers that the 40-year-old boilers have broken down. Oh, in other words, the water is very chilly. So indeed, we need to worry about that, don't we? MP comments on havoc caused by A27 closure as motorists face hours of delays. This is all to do with potholes. Tiny East Sussex spot named among the UK's coolest postcodes to move into. Well, we're not going to get into that. Quaint old Sussex mill house once owned by an Oscar-winning actress. We're not going to get into that. And 5 changes that will make your car use less fuel. We're not going to get into that. Other news headlines: a man suffers a major injury after being attacked outside the co-op. Which co-op? Well, let's take a look. Is in Crawley. He's been dragged away and attacked in Crawley. The reason that I find some of these things of interest is that because Law and Order, we're having a bad time with Law and Order. It looks as if the police are at 6s and 7s still. COVID lockdown has created a new idea of what is right and what's wrong, and that crime is on the increase. And all these things really are a bit worrying, to say the least. Hastings fire in pictures, a blaze at a former nightclub, and a surprise for homeowners as iguana named Eddie Lizard is dumped on the doorstep. I think we're going to find out about that, have we not? Oh, yes, I think so. Owners of a house get surprised as an iguana named Eddie Lizard is dumped on the doorstep, and they woke up to find it was a house in London. Oh, it's not local at all. Oh dear. There you are. It just shows what some people go to put a story and try to make it local. And perhaps the iguana was born here or something. Who knows? Who absolutely knows? It's a difficult one. Okay, there we go. We now got the time at 8:46. This is a Friday, TGIF. We've had a rough week, one way or another, at Mirador Television, but we've got through it. And I should say that tonight we are interviewing Vince Cable, the former Lib Dem leader, and I think Cameron, he became an industry minister. And so that's who we've got going tonight. And he's here for the Speakers Festival. We've had 4 or 5 really good interviews with very interesting people this week, all who are coming down here either today, tomorrow, or Sunday for the Speakers Festival, which take place in the All Saints Centre, the old church on Friars Walk, and who have all written interesting books and are here to talk about their books and to answer questions. And I would commend to you, take a look at the list, take a look at the program. And I think that you'll find that there's some very, very, very interesting people there. One that I'm particularly interested in, I think, is Robert Hardman. Mainly because I used to see him hard at work in London in the City Golf Club, which wasn't a golf club at all, really. It was a fudge to be able to open in the days when pubs couldn't open all day. The private clubs could. So the City Golf Club set right in the heart of Fleet Street. And I can remember somebody saying, "Oh, that's Hardman over there, beavering away on his latest book." And in those days, it would have been about Diana, of course. And anyway, he's speaking, and very interesting chap he is. So don't forget, you can find online the schedule for tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday. And a whole host of very, very interesting speakers. I've had 3 or 4 on this week, and I found them absolutely fascinating. So don't forget, that's what you can do. Who are we? And my little tweak in the tail? Well done, the energy companies. They're full of bright ideas to help their customers. Now they've made power so expensive that for an average house such as this, you can't afford to heat it. So you don't need appliances such as this. But that means you also don't need a fridge, because you can keep your groceries cool and fresh without it. The house is cold enough. Well done, chaps. Oh, there we go. Well done, chaps. It's just taking a little gentle poke at the energy companies. Mind you, they need more than a gentle poke, I think, because we go through this. Whatever it does, it always manages to move around the files that are all set up. I get in here very early, and I actually set up the files. Goodness gracious me. And I'm very good at it until we come to air. And then, do you think I can find the damn things? No. No, I can't. And it is dreadful that I shouldn't be able to. And but I have done it. And let's see what we've got cooking here. And well, I don't know. Let's just remind you once again about who we are and why we're here. Now, oh, hang on. Here we go. Here we go. Here I am. No, I'm not. It's just this system that needs an overhaul. There I am in all my glory on a Friday, uh, trying hard to say TGIF and take it casually through the day. Never works. There's nothing ever casual about television. Certainly not. But we've got a few things going for you this morning, hopefully, that you might find interesting. And I am now ready to, let's see, take a look at one or two things. One of the things that I, I thought might be of interest is what happens behind the scenes. Um, what are the presenters and the cameramen and so on up to when they're building up to the start of a program? Well, we're looking back to a couple of times when Annie Verrill was the co-host of Mirador Television's flagship program, Break an Egg, and we caught well, it turns into something worthwhile, but you can see the silly nonsense that goes on. So here we are at Lewis Castle, and we are preparing for a program. Well, there's a year or two to go now, but nonetheless, you can see what we go through, what pain we men have to put up with when you've got a lady presenter. Oh my goodness me! Okay. Oi.
Don't oi me.
I know you hate me saying
No.
oi.
No. Don't.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to see you. There we go. We're in. Behind me is a barbican, and it's a daddy barbican. It's a wonderful barbican. It was built in about the 13th century, 1200 or so, as an adjunct to the castle, which was built in, well, some people put it down at about 880, although most people say it's about 1840. 18? My goodness me, it's looking at you, thinking of 18. Of 10. 10. 40. But it was a wooden one, and it was the Normans after 1066 who built a series of castles. This was one of the smaller ones, but perhaps one of the more important ones. But anyway, the barbican came later in about 1230 or 1240, and I was quite happy to come and take a look at the barbican because Mirador, the name of our television program, is Mirador means a little barbican or a little turret. And since we say that we are the smallest or oldest little television station in the world, is thought coming here and showing you what a daddy barbican is like would be a good idea, didn't we?
Yes, dear. Daddy Barbican?
Yeah.
Oh dear. Didn't you think of something better?
Well, you keep on saying that. You know, she wants everything her own way, every way. Anyway, one of the interesting things is that it was a very modern barbican in its day, because up there you can see that there are holes in the roof, and that was so that they could pour oil or garbage or whatever onto anybody who was unwelcome.
Wow. Well, I'm glad I didn't live in those times.
Yeah, but I could drop an egg on you, couldn't I, if you tried to have it, if I didn't want you to.
I don't know. Will you be able to get all the way up there?
Oh, she's treading on dangerous ground now.
Or would you like me to help you?
Oh, she's in fine form this morning.
It's a beautiful day.
Go on.
No, that's all.
Oh, that's all. Yeah.
I love
Well,
to sing, but never know the lyrics.
well, I'm not going to sing myself this morning. That might drive everybody away.
Good choice.
But actually, the Barbican has stood the test of time, and it's in very, very good shape. It was a way of protecting the castle in a way that it hadn't been protected before. And when the castle was attacked, which it was many times, and particularly at the Battle of Lewes, it didn't do a terribly good job of defending itself. Although history tells us that the attackers, who it was the king's men who defended the castle, and they did manage to defend it because it was on the top of that hill, or motta. You didn't know that, did you? You didn't know what a motta was?
No.
Motta, motta, motta.
Would you like to tell the viewers what it means?
Well, a motta is a man-made hill. So the castle is on a man-made hill. The Barbican most certainly isn't. You're remarkably quiet this morning. You're not having a go at me. What's wrong?
I don't know. You're not saying the right things.
You
It's your fault.
the trouble.
Always
with,
is.
Yeah. Trouble with youngsters is they have no appreciation of history. None whatsoever. She stands there, and when we get back, she'll say, you go, no.
You're also forgetting that we work together, so most of your stories I've heard about 251 times. So if I don't sound too excited, it means I've heard it all before.
It's 251. Does it sound like number one? What I meant is the first time I told you, does it sound like the last time?
Do you mean is it less boring? It's all right.
Oh my goodness me, she's really working at it this morning. Get out the wrong side of bed. She probably did, you know.
Sometimes saying less is best.
When did you ever say less?
Okay, that's fine.
One for the old guy.
I'll go with that.
Oh,
I'll give you that today.
that's very kind of you.
Oh,
Oh,
I
you
know.
are most kind.
Kindness is my middle name.
Anyway, we've got a good week for you on Mirador. We've got all sorts of stories with all sorts of different people. Jake is going to make an appearance, and Melissa, that's Melissa White, Melissa Conti in New York, she's going to make an appearance too, with some really good and exciting people. The people that float around Lewes, hidden Lewes I call it, because nobody knows that they're here until you scratch the surface, and there they are.
Where? Oh.
Well, not in the Barbican, unless we're down through it. Right.
All right, boss.
Oh, she's full of it this morning. Anyway, we look forward to having you with us during the week. We're going to stick around the castle and just take a look at some of the history of it. It is a fascinating castle, it really is. And one of the stories that I rather like, that nobody can confirm, is that Charles II, when he was on the run, actually hid in the castle. And when the Cromwellians got up there, there is a passageway, a hidden passageway down there. Over there, couches in the bottom there. And he used to zip down. So they'd knock on the door and say, and they'd say, no, try next door. In the meantime, he'd gone down to Antioch House. Oh, isn't that fascinating?
It is indeed.
Oh, I knew that you'd like it.
Yes.
Okay.
It's
Well,
something to do with secrets.
that's the sort of nonsense and quirkiness you can expect this week, mostly from her, not from me. Say,
We'll
toodaloo
see.
to the folks.
Goodbye.
Toodlepip.
Toodaloo is your saying, not mine.
Go on. That's what you have to put up with when you go on location. Location is only just up the road at the castle. But that castle is an interesting castle. It was one of the very first built by the Normans, and although it's small, it is by far one of the most historic. And one of the things I was researching the other day for a program, which will be coming up at sometime in the next couple of weeks, is the Peasants' Revolt. And in something like 1380, the peasants were testing their will against the establishment because the Black Plague, the Black Death, had devastated the workforce, and also a lot of men were off fighting the king's wars in the 100 Years' War in France, with France. And the fact is that they resented that it was a foreign war, if you like, is the soldiers were being sent to France because King Richard II and the kings before him and kings afterwards believed in the divine right of kings, and they believed that they were meant by God to rule the kingdoms which actually stretched across the channel in those days. And they certainly were willing to fight for it. But the peasants, with some middle people, were really getting very upset because they were farmers. The conditions of the farms were serfs, where they never owned their land, but just worked it on behalf of a tenant lord. They were getting really quite fed up, and now they felt they could bear the teeth. Anyway, they set off. Actually, the Archdeacon of Lewes set them off because he rode up to Kent thinking that he was just dealing with a few dissidents and he was in favour with the king. So he told them to bog off and shut up. They killed his servants, and he only just escaped with his life, and that triggered widespread rape, pillage, killing right across England. And they broke into the Tower of London and they murdered some of the king's men. They broke into the Canterbury Cathedral and took down the Archbishop. They were very, very naughty people. And when they got to Lewes, they came to the castle, which we've just seen, and they were ready to commit mayhem and the same pillage and difficulties that they created elsewhere, when they discovered that in the basement there were tons and tons, or kegs and kegs, of good Norman wine. And to all intents and purposes, what we would say today is French wine, and it was good. So history has two versions. One, that they said to the Lord of the Manor, "We are going to tip this away as a protest, so you know what we're all about." The second interpretation, which I find more to my taste, is that they actually dipped into the wine, got drunk, stole for some reason a couple of stones from the battlements, and then took off to the rest of the country. And Lewes was saved. Lewes was saved by all the wine that was stored in the Lewes Castle. I think that's a lovely story. I much prefer that one if it wasn't reality. Oh dear. All right, it's gone up a degree. It's 1 degree centigrade outside now, and it is 9:05, 9:06. Oh, what is in a minute? No, it's 9:05, and it's the 20th day of January, and the month is fleeing by, and there's so many things to be done in January, forms to be filled out and to be submitted, and it's always a pain in the bum to have to do these things when all you want to do is to go to work. In my case, I come here to the White Hart Hotel, and I can't tell you what a joy and a pleasure it is. It's the best place I've ever worked. Jane is on this morning, and she greets me with a cup of coffee and a roaring fire. We have a nice little chat. She actually helps me get ready to broadcast. She hauls around boxes that I can't anymore. She's always got a wonderful smile on her face. And there we go. On the mornings that Jane is here, it's absolutely superb. And she does the same with the guests. They are always smiling at the White Hart, and it is. I'm happy to say that it reciprocated in many ways because the people that come here to stay are normally nice, interesting people. We actually stop them in the corridors sometimes and we say, "Hey, do you want to be on television? Come and tell us why you're here, what you're doing." And many an interesting story has come because of that policy. But Shannon is also here, and the boss's wife, um, Sally. They all are the same, all pleasant, all lovely people, all with a smile on their face, and they all have a roaring fire going, a roaring fire, and it's wonderful to go and toast your toesies. I don't get a chance to do that until 11 o'clock, but nonetheless, it's a wonderful comfort. And then they're backed up by Steve and Wes, who fill the gaps when the girls aren't available. And all in all, it's a damn good team, and we're very, very pleased to be part of it. We love being here. We love having good workmates, and we love being greeted in the morning, just the way that you would be if you actually came and stayed here. So never discount the old creaky hotel. It's lots of drama and lots of history that has gone on in this hotel. I'll tell you. I will tell you. Right. Okay. Now we just took a look behind the scenes of what goes on when you're filming, and I thought that we might just follow that up because this is about the tilting green at the castle. It is now a special bowls club. But it's where the knights would practice knocking one another off their horses with lances and so on in medieval times. And we were taking a look at it and just checking out the bowls. And once again, a difficult little lady I met is giving me a bad time.
When you're ready.
All right.
Good morning and welcome. Another day with this one.
Look, look at that. You know, she caught me coming out of a pub last night. I only went in for the one. I just went in for the one. And she heard me say tilt, right? And immediately thought, he's going to fall over because he's had too much to drink. That's just the way she thinks. But in fact, what I was talking about was, we're going to the tilting green tomorrow.
Well, now I know.
You don't know what a tilting green is? Yeah, and what did they do?
I'm sorry, I'm too young to know.
Well, they all got drunk, mass drunk, and they all tilted.
Clearly.
Ah, yes, historical fact. In fact, this is where they tilted with their lances and so on to try and knock one another off their horses. This was the practice ground for the Lord's men to actually try and go poof with a lance and knock the other bloke off the horse or whatever.
Or whatever, indeed. Scientific word for today. Poof.
Yeah. But that was when they tilted.
Okay. And when they didn't tilt?
Aha! Now you've asked the right question for once. When they didn't tilt in the early 1600s, what happened so that they didn't tilt anymore?
Oh, God. Is this a history exam?
Yes.
Oh, well, then I'll fail.
Have a guess.
Put a ground underneath? Put some more ground underneath?
They discovered gunpowder.
Oh.
So they started to shoot each other.
Oh.
So there was no reason to knock one another off the horses anymore.
This is getting
They just took
lovelier
out
and
their
lovelier.
guns and went, bang, bang, you're dead. pretty basic stuff, but nonetheless, knights charging at one another with lances went out of fashion. They weren't needed anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, knights were still needed, supporters of his lordship or of the king or whatever, but they didn't do it from horses in heavy armour. They just pointed a musket and went bang bang, you're dead. Ooh, this is a lovely sound, isn't it? Bang bang, you're dead. But what they did on this is it became a bowling green.
Ah.
So even though we talk about tilting here, it's nothing to do with drunken orgies or anything of that sort.
Oh,
it's
God.
all to do with playing bowls.
Here we go, favourite topic.
I could get onto oysters if you want.
No. That was enough. Last time was enough.
I thought you liked oysters. Well, you
don't know me if you think that.
You stole a dozen from me on one occasion.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh God, no.
Anyway, let's forget oysters for a moment, because the bowls that were played here and are to this day are the same bowls that Sir Francis Drake played when he spotted the Spanish Armada and famously said, "Aha, I have time to finish this game before I go and whip their backsides and send them off back to Spain with their tail between their legs, or their sails between their legs, or whatever between their legs." And to this day, it is the only one left in the country that plays bowls in that fashion. Now, there's a problem there. Oh, come on, history lady. What's the problem?
What is the problem?
Well, if you're
There's
the
no
only
one
one
to play
left, eh?
There's no one to play it.
All right, there's nobody to play against, so they have to play against each other, and they have tournaments here each morning, each day that they play, and they play against one another, and they each have their set of bowls. Now we've got some lovely people here looking. Please don't worry about it. Walk by.
I just don't want to fall over you. I can do that.
Oh, you're a man after my own heart. That's what she's accusing me of.
Hey.
Now, the bowls here are at least 100 years old, if not more. And when you become a member, you actually take over a set of bowls. And you can't become a member until a set of bowls is free.
Mm-hmm.
So someone either has to resign or pass away. And no longer playing bowls here before you can stop.
Wow.
You didn't know all that, did you?
No.
Do you want to play bowls?
No.
Do you want to tilt?
No. What are you talking about exactly?
You
Don't
said
say it.
you said we mustn't talk about that at this hour of the morning. Lovely people, come on through. Yeah, we're talking about the history of this place, and it's got a fascinating history. So I don't know whether you're visitors or whether you live here, but I hope you'll catch up on it. It's a nice place, very beautiful, isn't it?
Very.
Yeah,
Yes, I've not
lovely.
been here before.
Good to see you in Lewis. There we are. You see, lovely people. We always bump into lovely people on these occasions, except for.
For you.
That the head turned pretty quickly that time, didn't it? Yeah.
I can't always be kind.
Who asked you to be kind?
Maybe it's polite to be kind.
Yes. No.
Maybe you should know something about that.
Anyway, there is one more thing that I have to tell you about this. I mean, first of all, as you'll see, the uneven grass, some people say, is for where the horses used to charge around, so it was never even. And when it became grass, it was like that, which adds flavour to the game. But Tom Paine, who's Tom Paine?
Tom Paine.
Who's Tom Paine?
Everybody knows who Tom Paine is.
But you're not going to say, are you? Tom Paine, who was an adventurer and philosopher, who wrote The Rights of Man. He went off to the United States, named it the United States, and actually persuaded the colonists to rebel. And so we suddenly didn't have, as a colony, the area that is now known as the United States any longer, and mostly it was up to Tom Paine. But while he was here, he would play bowls at this club, and he would actually get onto the green and play Cry Sir Francis Drake Forever. But on one occasion, he sent a bowl down, and then suddenly said, Eureka! And he came and leapt over this wall and dashed back to the White Hart. and
Uh-huh.
started thinking about the rights of women.
Interesting.
True or false?
I think you made that up.
No, I didn't. It's true. Or at least it's been handed down from father to son.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I should have a look into that. Just so you don't say untrue things.
Me?
Just in case.
Why would you say I would say untruths?
I don't know.
I can't take her anywhere. I really can't.
That's okay. I'll
Wait.
come if I want it.
I've noticed that. And next time I come out of the pub and I say tilt, don't assume I'm dead drunk. I'm not, I'm just drunk.
Yes. Exactly. But that's okay.
That's okay.
That's okay.
You heard it. Till tomorrow. Putting up with this one. Tiddle bit.
Pray for me. Goodbye.
Well, there you are. That's what goes on when you're on location. Woman drove me mad. And you're watching. This is who you're watching. All right, we broadcast daily from 8:30 in the morning out of the White Hart Hotel, which is right in the centre of Lewes, which is a county town of East Sussex, and who's given rise. The founding fathers of the United States came from here, or many of them. And of course, I'm sitting in the White Hart Hotel, which is famous for having Tom Paine amongst its guests, amongst the people that came to the bar. He was in Lewes as a revenuer, a customs man, and there was a lot to do because smuggling was rife right across East Sussex, or right across Sussex for that matter, in the 1700s, early 1800s. And not only that, it was a dangerous profession. So, well, our Tom proved his mettle in the States. He did some fighting there. But he, of course, triggered the revolution, the rebellion, the independence war, which eventually saw well, it wasn't the UK in those days, it's Great Britain, split from the American colony, and the Americans went their own way, and we've all seen the result of it. So the White Hart, a very historic hotel, and also the home now to Mirador Television, I'm happy to say, and a very nice place it is to work out. All right, now we've got other things for you this morning, so that you don't have to listen to me all the time. But it's 9:19, and it's on the 20th day of January, and it's now 1 degree outside. It's warming up. You wouldn't be able to tell it, believe me. Rub up warm when you go out this morning. The headlines in the papers is mostly that inflation now seems to be beaten. Although the Bank of England governor is a bit cautious about making prognostications of that sort too soon. But nonetheless, it does look as if inflation is slowly going down. The big problem with that is that it will not have an impact on a lot of things for a while. And so don't expect all those increases in the supermarkets to be wiped out overnight. I must say, and last week there was a charge of profiteering laid against some of the supermarkets. And I actually, for several years, bought ham slices, cheap stuff, good for sandwiches, ham slices at £1. When the fight against inflation started amongst the retailers, the shopkeepers, as that ham slices went up to £1.25. Now, with the most solid calculations in the world, it seems to me that from £1 to £1.25 is more than just the 10% of inflation that we were suffering. And we were taken to town, and I actually made a note of several other things that went up disproportionately. It would appear that anything that formerly was a pound suddenly became £1.25, and that is a bit of a leap, and not at all playing ball to make sure that those of us who aren't millionaires can order a crust. So there you are. Now, we we'll take a look at what else we've got for you this morning. As I say, TGIF. It's a casual morning. We've scattered around and got a few things out of the archives and so on. But I was looking yesterday for an interview or a chat between Liza Page and Max Hurd. They both brought and do bring to Mirador an alternative thinking view. And since there are many, many people that fear that our parliament is trying to erode freedom of speech, trying to curb some of the things that are being said, it is very appropriate, I think, that we actually offer an alternative. Hang on, just making sure we don't. We have alternative voices, and if there are two that are alternative, it's Max and Lisa, and they got together and they decided that they would chat about these things because they believe it's important, and I refuse to be restricted on saying just because of your views you're not welcome on Mirador. We want as many views as we possibly can. So here they are, the long and the short of it, the tall and the tall and the short and the tall, or something. I'm in good voice, but I can't remember the words. Here's Max and Lisa.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in to Age and Youth. But here we are. You'll never guess who I am. My name is Liza Page, and this is...
I'm Max Hurd.
And we're here to rant and rave to you.
Yeah, we got lots of interesting topics to cover today. Some really outlandish ones from the WHO that we'll eventually get into, but there's a few things to cover.
Absolutely. Okay, why don't you start for a change?
Okay, I know you're not a big fan of him, but Elon Musk has officially stepped down as the CEO of Twitter.
Uh-huh.
Do you know why?
Why? Tell me why.
So Elon Musk has been releasing the Twitter files and basically confirming everything we already knew, saying that Twitter was censoring conservatives and censoring people based on their political opinions, and also anything to do with vaccine misinformation. Elon Musk released all of that publicly, and now Twitter is open to lawsuits because all of this is now public.
Ooh.
They were censoring sitting members of Congress, the president, obviously, and multiple politicians. So now this is all public. Twitter is going to be sued massively. Elon Musk is now saying, "Uh-oh, I'm leaving."
Excuse me,
because
I'll
he
be
is
off
the
now.
CEO. He is the CEO. He's responsible for the company. The company's going to get sued into, and it's just going to get obliterated. And he wants to jump off the ship, and I don't blame him.
No, neither do I. But he hasn't done his homework, and never should have got involved to begin with. Because several years ago, when they first brought on these fake vaccinations, Bill Gates, his little friend, Bill and him had an argy-bargy over money, right? And he turned around and said, "No, I'm sorry, I'm not having any of your vaccines, and neither are my children." He said that.
Elon Musk said that publicly.
Elon Musk said that, yes.
Elon Musk certainly isn't perfect, but he's certainly a very interesting kind of guy to be a billionaire. The richest man in the world.
Had a lot of help.
I'm sure he did, yeah. Not perfect, but from what he has done, I don't think he's that bad, actually.
Darling, I think he's just a workman, the same as the others are. He answers to the cabal, the same as Gates, Fauci, and the other monkeys do.
He's the richest man in the world. It's probably likely that he has to do all of that.
Yes, and then, he said he came from a poverty-stricken home, nasty home in South Africa.
But he came from a nasty place, South Africa.
Turns out his daddy owned an emerald mine. I mean, that's some kind of poverty, isn't it?
Some poverty, yeah.
Anyway, to hell with him. I am very, very interested in a man called Andrew Bridgen.
Right.
He was very, very brave. He stood up in the House of Commons and said how very dangerous these vaccines are. He spoke, he spoke for about 45 minutes there. There were very, very few people there. I counted 6 or 7, no more. And it's a big room.
Out of 650 MPs.
That's it, yes. And with the subject, I mean, he had so many facts, hundreds of people, deaths and all this from these murderous poisons that they're jabbing in people's bodies. And it's taken people so long to get this into Parliament for all the obvious reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, he stood up. The man was brilliant. Now then, why wasn't the Prime Minister there for such a heavy, heavy subject? Why?
Good question.
Why so few people? Huh?
Probably scared.
Probably, yeah.
They don't want to be seen near someone like that. It would be my main guess, is they don't want to have any sort of association or be in the same room as an anti-vaxxer.
Yes, an anti-vaxxer, yes.
Or a, as they're now being called, anti-science aggressors.
Yes, that's a new name for
We'll get
them
into
now.
that in a little bit, but that's going to follow on soon.
Yes.
But who was it that stood up and spoke to the guy in Parliament? It was, Claudia something?
Yes, there was a little lady there representing my hometown, Lewis. Well, it's not my hometown really, it's a place I have lived now for 35 years.
We grew up in Brighton,
And
it's
I
like
grew
20
up
minutes.
in Brighton. So anyway, Maria Caulfield is our junior minister. She was there. She listened to everything, then stood up and said her little piece, saying, yes, but I am a nurse and I think these vaccines have saved lives. Then it came up, the man had said, they are also issuing these vaccines to 6-month-old babies. She said, oh, I hadn't heard anything about that. I'll investigate. And then fucking sat down. Oh! I have never been so angry in my entire life. The people that have got that into Parliament and none of these fucking bastards showed up for it. I mean, what is the world coming to, huh? I mean, and oh dear. Yeah, there was 100,000 people signed this petition against COVID vaccines. Another guy stood up, Sir Christopher Chop. He gave a very good lecture. He gave another very good lecture in Parliament afterwards, and it was immediately taken off. You go looking for it, you won't find it. Oh, changing the subject somewhat. And I hate to change the subject. I mean, this is a national catastrophe with these things, what is happening, and for there to be this dreadful woman standing up and saying that, and nobody attending. But Rishi Sunak, I mean, was asked at that meeting in Davos to take off all these smart meters out of people's homes, of which there are millions. And
Who was it
coming
that
up-
asked?
I forget the guy's name now.
Ian Duncan Smith, maybe?
Was the man, yes. No, that was the correct name. He asked Sunak to bring this up. He said it was most important that these Chinese smartphones are taking us over, and all they need is enough. They can pull the plug and put the place in darkness forever. They can do what they want with us, absolutely what they want. And they're getting a stronger and stronger hold with this one world order, which is right out. The blueprint is China, and that is what they want to bring into Britain.
I was having a conversation with someone about this, saying, oh, you know, China's harvesting all of our data, and this person I was talking to said, so? I went, what? What do you mean, so? He goes, the British and the Americans and the Israelis and the French and everyone are doing the exact same thing to us. What's any difference that China's doing it? And I was just so frustrated by that argument.
Yeah. Well, you know, on a lighter subject, a Norwegian filmmaker said men can't be lesbians.
I think
So he got 3 years prison sentence.
I think that's a reasonable statement to make.
And you do it and you'll get 3 years.
I don't think men can be lesbians, if, you know, I'm just a hazard a guess.
Well, quite frankly, I don't give a fuck, darling, what they do, what they don't. It interests me in the slightest. Someone wants to mutilate their body, I feel very sorry for them. Very sorry for them. They have to live on injections for the rest of their lives, and the trauma going on in the head must be absolutely terrible. I feel very sorry for these people.
Yeah, it's called
but when
gender
they
dysphoria.
start doing it to children, oh, come on. Oh, that is another ball game entirely.
Yeah, totally. You know, when adults transition, whatever, I don't care. Do
Who
whatever. You're an
cares?
adult.
Who cares, yeah.
But it's the second it involves children, that is a big no-go for me.
Absolutely.
And it should be for everyone else.
Certainly it should. But I'm afraid people are just letting it go, and it's all a distraction to set us against one another. Listen, I'm a heterosexual woman, I'm very normal, and I don't go in for that sort of thing, men's sports or anything like that. I don't pitch myself against men because I'm not strong enough. I'm not strong enough to ride in the National. One, I'm petrified of horses, and two, I don't think that the men who say, right, I'm now going to be a woman, okay, that's fine, but I don't think they should be allowed to compete in women's sports because they're stronger.
Exactly. But the problem is, people my age believe that there's no difference between men and women. Biological. There's no biological difference between men and women. Which is a ridiculous argument to make, and it's so frustrating. Which is why I hate talking to people my own age.
Yes, it does get frustrating because you might just well talk to yourself. You know, you're just going to waste your time with those kind of people. They've made up their minds.
I've met multiple people in my life who tell me biological sex doesn't matter. Women, transgender women can compete in women's sport. Transgender men can compete in women's sport because they are women. Well, no. What? It's such... Because you try to get through to these people and they just don't want to hear it.
No, they don't.
No, my ideology says that this is a good thing, so therefore it is, and any other opinion is a bad opinion. That's their viewpoint, and it's painful talking to people my own age.
Yeah, very, very. It must be awful for you, darling. It really must. Because my life is almost over. And yours is just starting. Yours is just starting.
Your life is not almost over.
Well, it's not really beginning, is it?
No, it's not beginning, no, I suppose not, but it's not.
But I remember distinctly, I was born a month before the last World War broke out, and as a child I remember it very, very well. But, you know, history proves the last World War was started by 5 very wealthy families who sat around and said, right, how can we make some money? And I know war's always very good, isn't it? Well,
War is extremely profitable.
Yes, so why don't we finance this chap Hitler over there, who seems to be making a bit of a noise? And that's where it all started. And when America came in at the last to save us, they hadn't made up their mind whose side they were really on, whether it was Britain or America. But then it was starting to get a hold, and unless America came in and did the business, then we would have been taken over by Hitler, definitely, because we had nothing. We were riding a bluff all the time there at the end. So the Americans came in and sort of, you know, did the business and saved us. But it was also calculated because they thought, right, if they come in and they take over Britain, then they have carte blanche to the rest of Europe, and we would rather fight them now than when they attack America. But they said, well, they would never get over the Rocky Mountains anyway, but with that we don't know. So that was the why they came in, to win the war, because otherwise they would have had to have fought them back home. So America has never really experienced a war. On their home turf.
On their home, oh God, no. Well, Civil War, and so we had, well, I don't know, I think you're wrong with saying that. They had the Civil War, they had the British-American War, where we fought a war over independence.
That was a long time ago, wasn't it?
It was. But the Civil War, the American Civil War that is, was the bloodiest war in history.
Really?
Yeah. So they've experienced some
We've
stuff.
had some bloody wars here in this little town, you know, not too
yeah.
good.
You know, someone should make a documentary on this little town, shouldn't they?
Oh, absolutely.
They could call it something like The Bloody Past of a Tiny Town.
Yeah, I think it's already
sounds like a
been
good
done,
idea.
actually. I think our dear friend Keith Hayes has already done that, and he did a very good job on it. No, he should do some more of that stuff, because he's excellent at those documentaries. So, UK Christian woman arrested for praying outside abortion centre. This is the UK.
Yes. So there was a recent law passed within the last 6 months. It is illegal to pray
Anywhere?
in the vicinity of an abortion clinic.
Well, yeah.
They made it illegal to pray in the vicinity.
And then eventually it will be illegal to pray anywhere.
I mean, it's a very controversial issue. Abortion is a very controversial issue, and I know we disagree on the issue somewhat. But
Well, it's not really disagreeing. It's abortion is horrible. It's just awful. But with this abortion on demand that they have now, if you took that away, Max, if a woman chooses not to have a child, she will not have the child. She'll start performing on herself with a knitting needle or the old-fashioned way, probably kill herself with infection or whatever, or she will go to a backstreet abortionist who will probably do the same thing to her. So
I'm sure that would be the case.
You
yes.
are left with that. I think abortion in the very late stages is awful. It's terrible.
There are some
It's
states
dreadful.
in America, like Virginia, that allow abortion up until the point of birth.
Yes.
Which is, I think, almost everyone agrees
Far
that
too
is
late.
too far.
Far too late.
My personal belief on it is 8 weeks. 8 weeks is when the heartbeat starts, and I think it's not very controversial to say that if there is a beating heart, that is a living being. I don't think that's controversial to say, but like everything I say, it's controversial.
Yes. I do. It's a very deep subject.
It is, and
You
we
know,
certainly
if they
don't have
get
the
the
time
test
to...
and they find out that the child she's carrying is not right, I think life is hard enough without coming into the world defective.
Yeah, I completely understand that. I've got things to say about that, and we could have a whole episode just on the basis of a discussion on abortion. But I think for now we'll leave it at the point of I don't think anyone should be arrested for praying near an abortion centre. That is absolutely ridiculous, and I think everyone agrees with that.
I do too. I think it's appalling, with these laws that are coming in. I don't know what the laws are. I mean, I get to a stage now where I'm frightened to death to talk to anybody in case I am offending somebody.
Yeah, I do not talk to people my own age for that similar reason about controversial subjects. If they start the conversation, I'll go into it.
Yeah.
I won't start the conversations. It's too risky. It really is. I know people who would call the police if you were to, say something offensive, because being offensive in this country is an offence.
Yeah.
Being offensive is an offence. But obviously, it's a ridiculous thing to say that, because offence is subjective. I am offended of the thought of people getting abortions past 8 months. I am hugely offended by that. Should that person be arrested because I'm offended? No. And I shouldn't be arrested because
For your
I've offended
opinion.
someone on something as small as misgendering. But we'll move on from the abortion one. Everyone agrees. Praying outside an abortion centre, you should not be arrested for.
Shouldn't be praying
Should-
outside of anywhere, surely.
Well,
If someone's on my
It
doorstep
was-
and they're saying prayers, that obviously means something great for them. I wouldn't say buzz off or I'm going to send you to prison.
no, I think
I
it's-
have a cousin, a very dear cousin of 96, who continually prays for me when I'm low or I have a problem. I'm sorry, but her prayers work. They really do. They really do.
Are you? Oh, well, I'm not religious. Are you religious?
No, not in the general sense. My religion is I believe in the forces of good and the forces of evil. And
So
I
you don't
think,
follow any traditional
No,
religion?
no, I don't. I do believe in God. I think He is love, the force of love. And He can come in sort of many disguises. Or she.
Yeah.
There's so much out there that we don't know, that we can't see, but it's there. So much. And this is the very frustrating thing about life. That right from birth we're programmed just to see very little. Very little indeed. And that, I think, is all calculated. And most religions are just something to civilize the world, but they don't do that. They cause wars. But religion is based on fear. Now, you behave yourself and do nice things, otherwise God will punish you and send you back here as a mouse or something in another life. I mean, governments control everything with fear. I mean, these religions, we were talking about Scientology. That's another dodgy lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's
I've
all
never met a
based on fear.
Scientologist.
That's all based on fear. If your mother sends an email or something that they disapprove of, well, then you must never ever speak to your mother again, or any of her friends, or any of the family that are close to her. Who are these people? They write these things and then give us your money too.
Yeah. There's the 3 really weirdo religions who do that. There's the Scientologists,
Scientology.
there's the Mormons,
Yes.
and there is the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yes.
So, I was born a Mormon, and then immediately we were kicked out of the religion because my mother had me out of wedlock. But that's a story for another time.
How can people be so gullible?
Well,
They must be so lonely and so needy.
The majority of... There's only really two ways you get into these sort of religions. You're at the lowest point in your life,
Yes.
or you're born into it. Those are the only two ways you get into that religion.
Uh-huh.
Because they prey on the vulnerable.
Yes. Yes. During COVID and the lockdowns, I'd be interested to know how many people these religions recruited.
That's a very good point. That is interesting.
I think they must have had a field day.
They probably did.
Need your help here.
You need my help?
WHO.
WHO, yes. They recently had a video
World
released.
Health Organization, for anybody out there who's not informed. One of the most evil organizations on this planet today.
Oh no, they only do good things. It's about health, and health is good. They only do good things at WHO.
Yes, of course, yes.
They recently released a video on Twitter. You actually told me about this story, and I was skeptical at first until I realized that this was published on their official Twitter account. This was an official video made by the WHO, which they chose to produce and then say, yes, we can release this.
Uh-huh.
Do you have some of the notes from that? Could I have the sheet of paper?
Anti-killing force.
So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert the clip now, and you're going to watch the video, and then we're going to break it down. So here we go.
We have to recognize that anti-vaccine activism, which I actually call anti-science aggression, has now become a major killing force globally. During the COVID pandemic in the United States, 200,000 Americans needlessly lost their lives because they refused a COVID vaccine, even after vaccines became widely available. And now the anti-vaccine activism is expanding across the world, even into low and middle income countries. It's a killing force. Anti-science now kills more people than things like gun violence, global terrorism, nuclear proliferation, or cyber attacks. And now it's become a political movement. In the US, it's linked to far extremism on the far right, same in Germany. So this is a new face of anti-science aggression. And so we need political solutions to address this. We have to recognize that.
Okay, so now I've played the video. What a ridiculous video that is.
Yes.
So.
And the guy that produced it.
So, we'll break down some of the wording used in that. First off, to start off with, the way they described anti-vaxxers, the anti-science aggressors.
That anti-vaccine activism, which I actually call anti-science aggression.
I don't think I'm anti-science, and I don't think I'm an anti-science aggressor. Do you?
No, I really don't. I think I'm a woman struggling to live out the rest of my life against great odds in 2022. I don't think that makes me a silent aggressor, just because I don't want the government...
Science aggressor. Yeah.
Science, just because I don't want someone sticking a bunch of poison into my body.
So you're anti-science, is what you're saying.
If you say so, I am.
So, some of the other words used.
Well, he used quite a lot, but this business...
Oh yeah, it was, he was saying that anti-vaxxers cause more death than gun violence.
Yes, yes.
It's a killing force. Anti-science now kills more people than things like gun violence, global terrorism, nuclear proliferation, or cyber attacks.
And more death than nuclear weapons. Are you saying that anti-vaxxers cause more deaths than a Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Just because we
It's-
won't have poison stuck in us.
It's beyond belief.
Absolutely.
And this video that you just saw is from the official WHO Twitter account. They made the video, they published the video.
Yes. And there is something on this, I've been told, of people holding up placards, gas the non-vaxxers.
Yeah, so there's been some weird group of people who are really pro-vaccine to the point of saying anyone who's anti-vax should be gassed.
Yeah.
No,
Well, that's
I don't
just
know
like
about,
Nazi
I don't
Germany,
know.
when they had all these rats and said these are poisonous and they must be exterminated with the Jews, like the Jews. So you know, we are like the Jews. We
I would
anti-vaxxers.
make
They're
that
treating
comparison,
they're
but-
treating us like the Jews in the last World War. And in where is it, in Canada, they say that if you're a non-vaxxer, you are mental and you should be put in a lunatic asylum.
It's ridiculous. Now, I don't know about you, but the last time there was a group of people gassed didn't go so well in the history books, did it?
No, went well at the time though with their little project. I mean, they slaughtered 6 million. But it wasn't only Jews, it was gypsies and anybody that disagreed with Hitler, with the government. It's just like it is in China. You say one word against the government, oh, take away all your points, throw you in jail. Go to a gulag where your mind will be rehabilitated and you will come out saying 2 and 2 make 5, otherwise you go back in. And anybody out there, if you think we're exaggerating, sorry, we're not. Wish we were, but we're not. This is not going to end unless we all rise up and say, no, sorry, we're not having it. We're not having this one world order. You're not taking away our money from us and putting us on a point system. No, I'm sorry, we are not having this.
What we need to do is peacefully make our voices heard.
He can't do it, I can't do it, but all of you can do it with us.
We can all do it. 1 or 2 people aren't going to make a difference. Millions, hundreds of thousands of people will make the difference.
And there are a lot of millions of us.
I mean,
too.
look at the people during lockdown who went to the anti-mandatory vaccine protests.
Mhm.
Brilliant. I had a family
Yes.
who went there. I wish I could have gone.
Absolutely.
I wish I could have gone.
Fantastic.
I wasn't
tell you.
able to at the time. I didn't have the money to travel up to London.
Yeah.
I didn't have the time. It was a real shame.
They were brilliant, and they did have effect too,
Yeah.
because Johnson didn't close down over Christmas. It wasn't that he thought he didn't need to or anything or blah. He would have loved to have closed down, but he didn't fancy it because those
of his-
thousands of people up there marching, he didn't fancy them to come back.
I think it's also because of his approval ratings would have plummeted like you've never seen it before.
Yeah, but you know, shot himself in the foot by giving a party.
He ate some Christmas cake.
And yeah,
And
it's
there you go.
Christmas.
That was the end of his career.
Yeah, that's very interesting, isn't it? You know, and I have been sort of pessimistic lately, and I think, come on, Liza Page, pull yourself together. And I really need a swift kick up the bum sometimes, you know, to push me out of the low moods. But the low moods are no good, and they're going to get us nowhere at all. We have to maintain this high. You know, people have tried to take over the world. It wasn't only Hitler. I mean, oh God, Caesar tried to do it. Alexander the Great tried to do it. You know, they didn't succeed. They didn't. And this little lot, Gates, Schwab, and all these young new world leaders, They're going to
Young
find they
global
were.
leaders, yeah.
Yeah, they're going to find that they're wasting their time because this whole pack of cards is going to collapse eventually. I tell you, throughout history, say, yes, but you know, it's an internet thing now, and we can't beat that, and the whole thing. I've got news for you. We can, if we all join together. We can. We don't have to suffer communism for the rest of our lives. No, we don't have to be kicked around, my loves. We can do it. We can. A lot of us. Absolutely. And then when these world leaders say, yes, there's lessons to be learned from this, let them start learning those lessons when they're doing life imprisonment. Guantanamo Bay, preferably. Yeah. You learn the lessons there, mate. The same as you were going to teach us lessons. I'm saying goodbye now. Thank you so very much for listening, for tuning in to Age and Youth. We're just starting out, but we love what we're doing because we know that we are making a difference. And we will continue all the time there's breath in us. Thank you, my darlings, so much for tuning in. Love and kisses, and chin up.
Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for having me.
Well, we're a twosome on this. You know, I can't do this without you, Max. I need the youth,
Well, that's the
input
show,
of
Age
youth.
and Youth.
Age and Youth, yeah. We're a good team. We're a good team.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you, Max. Bye-bye.
Well, there you go. The alternative voice, and it is interesting to listen to a very young man, and I hope she'll approve of me saying a maturing lady, and their different views. They're different to one another, and also they're different to most of the views held as fact. And we're very pleased that we have people who feel that they can do a program like that, and that Mirador will broadcast it, and that we don't endorse it necessarily, but is every point of view should be given an airing so that we can all make up our own minds. Oh, wowdy, wowdy, wowdy. Well, it is now 9:59. It's damn near 10 o'clock, and we've gone up a degree, 2 degrees centigrade, and I am assured that it is the 20th day of January 2023. So we're kicking off our contribution to this year, 2023, with a few controversial points of view and little bits and pieces that we let's see. Yes, I think it's time to lighten the mood a little bit, and why don't we actually take a look for a little while at cricket? And we have here somewhere the let's see, the history of cricket, and then followed by is a different viewpoint from John Arlott. John Arlott, the voice of broadcasting for many, many, many years, and strange enough, I happen to know Tim Arlott, his son, who, well, it's a year ago now, I suppose, came down with some friends, mutual friends, and we sat in the Rights of Man and spent the entire afternoon supping on wine, taking a look at the menu and tasting the menu and having a jolly good time. Anyway, first of all, let's just take a little look at the history of cricket, shall we? Yeah, why not? Starting and successful. It is also history of cricket. History of Newbound Railway are in the stadium. He describes a cricket match that took place in a fictional village in Kent. In fact, the match really did take place, and is the subject of the book that they were England. The railway is carrying he described how the village was played. The fact that we fell down and that took place in 1951. So as the years have gone by, this day, and so we the Rodwell is a little village just south of Lewis, and the cricket match, at which of course the team spent half the time in the pub, which is really the Abergavenny Arms, and the Rodwell Cricket Club, weather permitting, play that match against the Invalids and have done now for 100 years. That is history of cricket in Sussex. But now John Arlos is very much in the fore now, because he shows us another side of cricket as it developed as a game, and how some of the things came to pass, and the history of cricket, I think. That's it. I know. Here we go.
My name is Richardson, and I happen to have been born in Britain. All peoples have their peculiarities and their enthusiasms. We are no exception. One of our enthusiasms is a game whose cause is served by experts and by those who only stand and wait. And while they wait, certain preparations, solemnly proceeding during many hours, reach their climax. For this is Lord's, deeply rooted in tradition and in the ritual tradition brings, where until the proper time, no man may enter unless he have some special access.
Well, on this occasion, I have some special access. My name's Arlott, John Arlott, and later on I'll be telling you something about the match. In the meantime, out comes the old country land measure. 22 yards, 4 rods, poles or perches, 1 chain, the length of a cricket pitch. They're measuring out the wicket, and that is something of a ritual, as a matter of fact. It takes many hours of skillful work over many months to prepare a first-class wicket, and that's just what this is, the special test wicket, a very revered patch of English turf plumb in line with the pavilion door. The test wicket of all test wickets, when at Lord's England plays Australia, and when that happens, everything has to be just so, to start with anyway. And while they've been working, the crowds have been gathering, soon to grow to something like 30,000 people, to say nothing of those who have to stay at home and listen on the radio to people like me.
30,000 people and many millions throughout the world did but time and geography allow. This game called cricket had its origin in quiet places and lives on in equally quiet places, deep in the hearts of those who love it. What is it about this unobtrusive game? What is its magic? For magic it must surely be that makes men sit and watch and dream of past occasions and of wistful yearnings never quite fulfilled. Magic it is that makes the hush when captains meet. The wicket is inspected and another test begins.
Don Bradman wins the toss for Australia, and Australia are going to bat. They're going to get first use of this good wicket. And here's the England side coming into the field. Yardley leading them, and here's Tom Dollery, Jim Laker, Dennis Compton and Douglas Wright of Kent at the end. And then, out of the pavilion gate, come Australia's opening pair, Barnes and Morris, Morris in the cap. And Alec Bedser of Surrey begins the bowling from the nursery end. Fast medium right arm comes in, bowls to Barnes outside the off stump, and it bounces off Evans' pads. Bedser again. Bowls again to Barnes and again beats him outside the off stump. And the first over is a quiet one, a maiden. And Alec Coxon of Yorkshire bowls the second over from the pavilion end. Elbows well out, comes in, bowls to Morris. Morris forces him away on the onside, and the Australian innings is underway. The first run's up on the board.
And so another historic test is underway, watched by the press of half the world. watched too by appraising eyes in the pavilion, eyes that have seen many a cricketer come and go. For here in the long room at Lord's, criticism is restrained, praise is brief, and only sunny days and history are long. Here are pictures that have captured in eternal attitudes the beginnings of the game, showing the essence of this thing called cricket, all thought and spirit concentrated on a square of green, a subtle battle between a slice of willow and a round of leather. Days of two-stump wickets, when bats were curved and the scorer kept the tally with notches on a stick. Paintings of village greens in days when cockfighting was rife. Pictures of the high noon of Victorian peace, when cricket had become part of English education. And Lord's itself in 1837. Then and today, the acknowledged home of cricket. Australia's innings has come to a close. The score stands high and is duly noted. There is time to breathe until England takes the field.
Now, cricket in the hands of the experts, more than a game. It's a craft at least, almost a science. Let's ask an expert, Bert Rhodes of Derbyshire, to bowl us a leg break on this demonstration wicket. Now, there's the spinning finger, the third one, see, cuddled close against the seam. It comes up. Now, this is the perfect leg break. Watch where it pitches. Just outside the line of the leg stump, and it turns enough to beat the off stump. And now, the orthodox, the natural break, spun off that index finger, the off break. And this pitches, watch it, outside the line of the off stump, and it beats the leg stump. Now, that's the right arm bowler's orthodox weapon. Let's see how the batsman copes with it. As the ball comes down to him, turning into him, well, all right, he just lets it hit the bat. And that's why short-leg fieldsmen were born. Well, perhaps attack's the best method of defense. Down comes that off-break again, and the batsman hooks it hard and high over those short-leg fieldsmen, but not over deep square leg. There is a way of doing it, of course, over the ball as it moves into you, and push it away along the ground as Edrich does this ball from Lindwall, playing it to Barnes. When England are 27 for 1, which is nothing for Englishmen to be very happy about, and Ray Lindwall is bowling at full speed to Hutton. That ball's well up to him and he pushes it away past mid-off for a comfortable 2. Bradman moves round those hungry Australian slip fieldsmen, and Lindwall, in one of the finest spells of fast bowling seen in England since Larwood, bowls again, this time to Edrich, and Edrich pushes him away out into the covers, quite safely.
While experts battle, experts forge the weapons that they use. Good white willow with a wholesome heart, long seasoned, like the men who shape it. Skilled hands practicing a long-established craft. For wasn't John Small, the cobbler, making cricket balls at Hambledon 200 years ago? Since then, the craft has grown. And yet, there still remains the steadiness of eye and hand that sews the seams. Seams that in the bowler's hands will give the hidden feel for breaks and twists. Seems to withstand the onslaught of the bat. For the heart of a bat is firm, and its blows have strength and punch.
Yes, it's got punch, all right. Power. And it doesn't get there by accident. Take the handle now, with its cane and rubber springing, to whip as it's got to when a Hutton or a Bradman drives a fast bowler far away. There's got to be good splicing for that kind of thing, too, but cricket and craftsmanship go hand in hand, and when handle meets blade in a cricket bat, you've got a real piece of craftsmanship. It's the same with the ball, sewn firm and tight, and when it's done, a durable, balanced projectile, carefully weighed and measured and graded, as precise in its making as the hands that will use it, as precise as a cricket bat. First-class weapons, one designed to break or swing and beat the bat, and the other to fathom the tricks of the bowler and send the ball far away. And it takes Doug Wright at number 11 with a wild swing over the bowler's head, sky high up there into the long field to save England from the follow-on. And Ray Lindwall, with 4 wickets already in the match, bowls again from the pavilion end and bowls Alec Bedser. And England are all out for 215, 135 behind Australia on the first innings. There'll be some long faces in the printing room at this news. There's quite an organisation down there. They keep abreast with the play, recording the fall of each wicket and the scores, so that late arrivals can pick up the score in detail straight away as they come in. With Australia 135 in front, they'll probably think that's a pretty sad threepennyworth. But now Australia have started their second innings. Bedser bowls to Barnes, his in-swinger, and Barnes puts it away, down to long leg. Round comes Hutton, fielding at long leg, and there's that quick low throw to Godfrey Evans. And now Wright bowls to Morris, and he's out.
When a wicket falls or a hit is made, those behind the scenes spring into action. What they record will go speeding over land and ocean. When a batsman strikes, the whole world outside will want to know the score. And when they know it, they'll cast an envious thought to those who sat at Lord's and watched.
And there goes Barnes, magnificently caught by Washbrook at long on for 141. And Australia are now 431 in front. And now here comes Lindsay Hassett, the vice-captain, to face up to Norman Yardley. I suppose waiting for the earlier batsman. He's had his pads on for best part of 4 hours. Well, he needn't keep them on any longer. Meanwhile, the Don bats on. Don Bradman, on his last Test tour and playing his last Test innings at Lord's.
Don Bradman, the pride of Australia and the despair of England. But whichever side one favours, who can but acclaim a master? Bradman, whose name now joins the golden pageant.
And it is a golden pageant. Let's look at just a few of them. Silver Billy Beldam of Hambledon, who in the 1780s became the first great batsman. William Lillywhite, the nonpareil, the man who changed bowling from underarm to round arm. William Clark, the one-eyed Nottingham bricklayer, who with his All England 11 spread the gospel of cricket all through the country. The Lion of Kent, Alfred Minn, the great fast bowler of the 1840s and 50s. Spofforth, the demon bowler from Australia, who in the great Test of 1882 even took the wicket of the old man. W.G. Grace, the Gloucestershire country doctor who turned a rustic sport into the science of modern cricket. The first man to score a century before lunch in a Test, Victor Trumper. Ranji, and the bowler who suspended the laws of timing, Maurice Tate. Clary Grimmett, the most accurate of all leg break bowlers. A problem even for England's great opening pair, Jack Hobbs of Surrey and his imperturbable Yorkshire partner, Herbert Sutcliffe. Jack Hobbs, the modern master, who, in the 1930s, resigned his supremacy to a young man from Bowral, Donald George Bradman. A pageant of 170 years of cricketers on whom the sun always shines. In retrospect, anyway.
But cricket casts its own peculiar glow, and in the years to come, this day too of rain and cloud will be sunlit in the memory. Will rain stop play? Anxious eyes survey the wicket. Willing hands turn too. But fate is kind and the battle is renewed. All through a cloudy afternoon they struggle on. The English batsman extra careful, heavily conscious of each wicket as it falls.
England want 596 to win, and Hutton's out for 13, and England 42 for 1 wicket. And now Toshak bowls to Edrich, Ian Johnson catches him at first slip. Edrich is out. England 52 for 2 wickets. And in trouble. That'll hurry him and depress him in the printing room. Well, with 2 wickets gone for 52, England are in a lot of trouble. Indeed, almost everything depends on the man who now comes out of the pavilion. Dennis Compton. And with Hutton gone, England's last real hope.
So they fight on, a battle of muscle, sinew, and eye. For this is cricket at its finest, calling forth a quality deep in men, the calmness of a Compton on a sticky wicket when the world is watching, steadiness of nerve and quick agility. To be a Hobbs, a Sutcliffe, a Bradman, or a Compton. The heroes change with the years, but the dream to be a cricketer lives on in every generation. And the heroes pass on their knowledge. For cricket is a part of the very substance of a country's education. But the game knows no class, and indeed no frontier. In the West Indies, Australia, New Zealand, India, under the shadow of Table Mountain, developing the same qualities in men, regardless of background, color, or creed.
England, 106 for 3, want an impossible 490 to win. Impossible? Well, Compton's still there. And here's Big Bill Johnson with that bucking, bridling run coming in to bowl to him. And Compton's out. England's last hope of the impossible. And now, Toshak bowls to Coxon. Toshak thinks he's out. Umpire thinks he's out. Coxon thinks it's a shame. Now it's all over, bar shouting.
The day wears on. Another game is lost and won. Well, perhaps not quite. Defeat has come to England. Australia, victory. Australia takes the Ashes. But victory is the least that men play cricket for. They play it for a host of reasons, ill-defined and hard to seek. On school ground, on city street, on village green, they play on. For the urge wells deep from quiet places, in men and in the land they spring from.
Well, there we are. That is the cricket in the 1930s. And it was a religion then, and it's a religion now. It is now 10:24. It is the 20th day of January 2023. It is now climbed to, oh my goodness me, the temperature is surging. It is up now to 3 degrees. Still, it's cold enough to freeze the you-know-whats of a brass monkey, as they would say. Not taking the monkey's vitals into any sort of disgraceful description. Now, that gives us about half an hour before the end of this program. And what we're going to do is what we have been doing is ending it's time. Right, I've got that wrong. Is ending our time looking into some of the archives. And here is some stuff that we did just prior to lockdown, and is still, I think, of interest. So this will take us through to 11 o'clock and the end of a Friday, except we will have an interview with Vince Cable later on this afternoon. And that will both be filmed live and in recorded mode, so that we can show you that later on. And it's because he is here in town to speak about his book at the Speakers Festival. And the Speakers Festival starts this evening, goes through tomorrow and through Sunday with a plethora of interesting people, absolute plethora of interesting people who are going to talk about their books. In the meantime, let's just now go to the past and see what we were doing.
Give us back our town. Beer, wine.
So, thank you for joining.
Hey, Ellie, come on, give us a kiss. Come on.
Do admire the hanging gardens of Babylon on the way. They can't even cut that back properly.
Hello. At last I've caught you asleep.
You did hold up a Bible upside down, but you held it up.
Hey there.
It is a massive, massive ball of uselessness. Oh, you can't say that. Why is it my romances all go wrong? Annie was the first girl. Her mother thought me twee. She sent a big invitation with an RSVP. It is wonderful to end a day like this, where I am completely sober and articulate, and I'm surrounded by people who cannot put two words together.
You said end the day like this. Isn't this the morning programme or something?
Yes.
Okay. You're ending it already?
Yeah, well, you've been drinking all day.
All day? That's all right then. It is the morning programme, you know.
Well, you will be drinking all day.
Oh God, after this I will.
We've learned so much on this epic journey. We've learned what makes Lewis Lewis and what it's had to deal with in the past. We've learned... What else did we learn?
I'm Mark Landsman.
Doodle bib.
Pray for me. Goodbye.
Mirador TV. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Well, Major Thompson still exists. I sometimes think I'm the embodiment of him. You see, inflation, but I've still got the penny, which has turned into 10p in case I need the public loo. And as for a glass of nice wine, well, why not? Just the one, Miss Annie. Well, doing a drink show is a bit of a pleasure. But this next hour is just to let you know that we've been busy over a period of months and years. And here are some of the programs that we've made over that period of time. This hour will regularly be hosted by Melissa Conti from New York, with her team of reporters and correspondents to let us know what's going on in various spheres, various parts of the economy and various parts of the world from the American point of view. But for the moment, just for this week, we're going to recap who we are, where we are, and what we've done. And I hope that you'll look out for us on Roku, and on Amazon Fire, and on Apple, and on Android, and on the smartphones generally, as well as social media and our own website, miradortelevision.com. So, relax, take a look at some of the things that we have done in the past, some of them are quite amusing, really. Amazing what we did do. And we'll see you later on, hopefully, for the renewal of the next hour, when you can review what we did this last 4 hours. Till then, Keith Hayes. Oh, I must really say, since it's Major Thompson, and I've got a trilby rather than a bowler hat myself. Toodle pip.
Hello, hello, hello. I escaped from home. It's a nice thing to have a car, eh? It's also nice when you can go shopping on your own. How are you all? I wonder, how long will this lockdown last for? Safety first. I know, I know, I know. Safety first. But I want to get out. I want to be able to meet with my friends. And perhaps take the children out and let them go wild. Anyone else feel a little bit crazy? Anyone else had enough of being at home? This is exactly how I feel. There. I want to break free. I want to break free. Apologies for being, well, not so normal. It is a great day though, so I thought maybe a little bit of foolishness is okay.
In normal times, you can brainwash people, you know, but during a pandemic, you really see the worth and the importance of different kinds of work. I think you can also see the worth of the work of people like me and artists. We need to build a narrative and a meaning of what we are experiencing. And we need to let circulate also messages of hope, of resilience, of rebirth.
The novel coronavirus is currently affecting almost all countries on this planet, and many people's lives have changed drastically. With over 300,000 known deaths worldwide and many countries holding statewide quarantines, a lot of professions have been impacted by the crisis.
Das sind meine beiden Karottenflöten.
Many people have been occupying themselves by staying creative. We have seen an increase of people sharing their music and showing their recent artwork online.
Modell 1.
If I didn't dance in a week, I get grumpy. I did sometimes take a video of myself, set up the camera, and then do dance moves myself. I also see a lot of like people making videos and people like dancing, making songs, and all that, creating all these ideas.
Even the people that don't do creative jobs are being more creative, because I think lots of people do jobs they don't really want to do, and they found at this time they're just kind of doing stuff that's going to make them happy. That's something I've really realised, is that I'm painting, and because as a print designer as well, I have to do about 4 prints a day. But being at home, I've done so much more like actual handwork. And I think the environment of an office for a creative person is a bit rubbish. You need to be in a studio type environment. And I've made my little area into a little studio environment. So I feel like I can paint and stuff.
Nature is a big mystery, and science has not yet fully understood how nature works. The complexity is much bigger than we can grasp at the moment. So we can make predictions and looks like a long time, between 2 and 4 years, but it can be a few months. We don't know.
Das wird meiner Einschätzung nach für die Zukunft eine ganz veränderte Kulturlandschaft, zumindest in dem Musikdienstleistungssektor, in dem wir agieren, hinterlassen. Ich muss da noch mal auf mein schon relativ fortgeschrittenes Alter verweisen. Also ich bin ja fast 60. Wir spielen eben auch meistens für ältere Leute. Auch wenn ich selbst in ein Konzert gehe, zum Beispiel hier in die Glocke, das angesagte Konzerthaus hier in Bremen, sieht man nur Leute ab 60. Und diese Leute zählen ja alle zur Risikogruppe. Diese Leute werden sich, auch wenn jetzt diese Restriktionen gelockert werden, werden die sich sehr gut überlegen, ob sie Massenveranstaltungen aufsuchen. Denke ich, wir müssen uns tatsächlich umstellen und man kann vielen jungen Leuten, die jetzt zum Beispiel Musik studieren, also Jazz oder Pop studieren, würde ich empfehlen, sich wirklich anders zu orientieren.
There are lots of inequalities, and every period of transition, every period of crisis enhance these inequalities.
Ghana here, you need to buy packages, and since the pandemic has come, no money to buy this package. So normally I find it difficult going onto the internet.
The health is not just something that is not just a property of a body, of your body, but how you feel, how you are integrated into a society, the resources, the opportunity you have, all affect your health. So social and political inequalities are going to affect the health.
Es trifft immer die Ärmeren und die Unterprivilegierten stärker als die Leute, die privilegiert sind. Also du siehst, ich sitze ja auch hier ohne zu weinen und ohne irgendwie zu meckern. Das liegt einfach daran, weil meine Frau einen relativ sicheren Job in der Behörde hat. Und ich weiß, dass wir jetzt nicht verhungern müssen.
Something we've never seen before has taken a hold of our city, our country.
I think even though the online streaming is a good thing, I think it's got a limit. It's limiting because you can't beat going out to different places and meeting different people and playing in front of different crowds. In terms of my lessons, all of my one-on-one lessons I teach over Skype or Zoom or WhatsApp now. Myself and my partner Steph also run a choir, and we are in the middle of trying to manage 75 choir members to sing on the line.
How fast we come together when we're torn.
I'm quite optimistic because I think artists especially can find different ways to channel their messages and to work.
I'm basically just gone back home and I'm writing again, and I'm gonna demo up some new songs.
I told a bunch of people on my wife's Instagram to like a live lesson, so it was like a workshop.
If you're in an office and you're doing 9 to 5, you can just find yourself like, what's the point? I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling creative, but you have to do that. So I think that's really positive. Going forward, I definitely think that companies will see that it is more productive, us being a bit more flexible.
To be far with our bodies, we maybe can imply also to be far with our emotions, with our sociality. But I am more optimistic, I have to say. And what I am observing now is that there is a strong need of sociality. So maybe this quarantine time and so on, maybe has helped us to rediscover the worth, the value of sociality.
It's Mark Brett Warburton. I'm now back from just a little bit of shopping in town and my little walk through the bits of parkland around and about just to give my legs a stretch. Interestingly enough, the shops are still evolving their methods, so they've changed the way we come in and out, so there's even better separation. The one thing I have noticed as well, the shop methodology has improved, but people are getting a bit more slack about their social distancing. I noticed that there were people that seem to think the 2-meter rule applies to their shopping cart or shopping basket rather than themselves. So if they leave it 2 meters away from you, everything's okay. They're actually forgetting that they are the thing that carries the infection, not their goods, which is kind of irritating. But on the whole, people are pretty good. Most people are still respecting it and stepping out of the way and making sure they've got good distance as they move through town. Not that many people around anyway, but still a few. Okay, this is Mark Brett Warburton coming to you from Guildford in Surrey. If you want to get in touch, the email address is yourviews@brett-warburton.com. Talk to you soon.
Many people find commuting by train tiresome. But one of the pleasures of taking a train to London is that it passes through some of the most beautiful countryside in the UK. None more so than the view of the countryside as the line approaches Clayton Tunnel, just north of Brighton. The tunnel is the longest on the line, at 1.25 miles, running under the South Downs. It's unusual because the entrance is not the usual railway brick. It is instead designed to look like the gateway to a castle. On top is a cottage built for the railway's lightkeeper in 1849. The tunnel itself was opened in 1841 and the cottage added later. Idyllic. But after 1861 it became a nightmare, or at least for those who believe in ghostly goings-on. In August of that year, a night train left Brighton, travelling north to London. Partway through the tunnel, it stopped at what it thought was a danger signal from the lightman. The engine driver was correct.
The railway official had indeed given a danger signal, but the train had rushed past him before pulling up. Thinking the train had cleared the tunnel, the unfortunate lightman gave the all clear to a following train. And it slammed into the back of the first train in the dark, killing 23 and injuring 176 more. It was the worst ever accident on the line. And people walking on the downs over the underground passage have reported hearing the screams of the passengers as the trains pile into each other. The line is now also a direct line from Lewes. I've travelled through that tunnel 1,000 times. I've never heard a scream other than the screech of the wheels and brakes. But I've never walked over the downs at that point either. And I turned down an invitation to stay in the cottage overnight. In fact, I get tense each time I go into the tunnel, knowing what had happened more than 165 years ago. But my fellow passengers carry on reading their newspapers, obviously oblivious to both the tragedy and the ghosts. I could sometimes scream at them. The ghosts of Clayton Tunnel. Eerie. Bloody eerie. So Sussex has got itself a new duke. Apparently, the title was offered to Harry as a carrot, inducing him to name the date that he would get married. I don't know whether that's apocryphal or whether it's true, but anyway, today was the day, and he has received the title of Duke of Sussex as a wedding present. There's just one small drawback. Nobody knows what the Duke of Sussex does, because it hasn't been given to anybody for 175 years.
The title was retired 175 years ago in 1843, after Prince Augustus Frederick died. He'd been a bit of a naughty prince, mixing with society his father disapproved of, and marrying twice, apparently quite illegally. He was, however, a patron of the arts and worked hard for civil rights. Until today, the title had laid mouldering in some official cellar or other. That's not to say that it isn't a wonderful title. Here are some scenes of Sussex, West and East, to show how beautiful and alluring Harry's new acquisition is, even though it's ancient. West Sussex, and then Mirador country, Hastings. Eastbourne, Seaford, New Haven, and of course Lewis. Now this is where the bit of royal naughtiness kicks in. Not from the last youth, naughty though he was, but from his disapproving father, King George III. The said king was for many years the playboy Prince Regent, and there was nowhere he liked to play more than in Lewis.
By the way, Lewes isn't a corruption of Lou. It's the Saxon word for a hill. And if you thought that Lewis had lots of pubs, it has far more hilly roads. Far more even than the rest of the country, I think.
He was always here, sometimes with ladies of less than good reputation, and sometimes with his gambling buddies. One of these friends who lived on Lewes High Street arranged a wager that the prince wouldn't dare drive a coach and four down this street, Keir Street. Some say it's the steepest in the country. He did, and he won the bet. But he also spent huge amounts of time here. This is Lewes Racecourse, or what's left of it. The course was closed in 1966, and despite several attempts, has never been restored. But while here, the Prince Regent used it frequently, and drew crowds of up to 10,000 just to get a good look at the royal person. Again, sound familiar?
So, huge crowds. Sound familiar? But Harry has been assigned, if that's the right word, to one of the most beautiful parts, if not the most beautiful part, of the United Kingdom. Sussex, West and East. And for that, we must all be grateful. So, here's to our new boss. Hail to the chief. Well done, Harry. Doodle whip. Well, that's it for this morning. This is who we are. Right, watch out for Vince Cable later this afternoon, somewhere around 6 o'clock. And we'll look forward to seeing you next week, a brand new week. And hopefully, this bugaboo that we have tried every possible way to raise the quality of the picture. Sometimes we do it and sometimes we don't. And it's so difficult to know when and where, and we're still investigating it. But thank you for being with us. And I hope the content of what we provide for you is interesting enough for you to pop in and visit us from time to time. Until Monday, this is Keith Hayes, Mirador Television, and a very toodle pip. Ta-ra.